Hi, and welcome to Disco Kitchen Paris. Last year I spent the summer in Barcelona. I went to work a little, play a little, eat a lot, and promote our new Tapas book. I ate a lot of great food, and several of the dishes that are actually in the book. But the best thing I ate in Barcelona isn't in the book at all. It's fast and cheap, and I'm going to show you how to make it. Serving tapas or small plates is a great pre-game way to start a dinner party, or just have a few snacks and drinks with friends before heading out for the evening. Tapas, which are small flavorful dishes shared with friends over a glass of wine, have been a tradition in Spain for centuries. They were originally small pieces of bread or ham used to cover a drink to keep the flies out. Today they have evolved into a broad range of dishes, showcasing the rich flavors of Spanish cuisine. It's not just a meal, it's a social experience, a celebration. It's a way of sharing the joy of being with your friends and family. Today's tapas recipe is the ultimate combination of simplicity and flavor, and you can find it in nearly every bar in Barcelona. Here in France, we have the apéritif, or apéro, and in Italy, the aperitivo. These are seldom elaborate dishes, usually something like olives and a board with charcuterie and cheese. And maybe, probably if you're in France, some bread. Our recipe for this video is easy to prepare and always a hit. For this video, we are making pan con tomate. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! So, to get started, you will need one baguette, a couple of good-sized tomatoes, a couple cloves of garlic, salt, and olive oil. And that's it. It's worth noting that if you're short on time, some of these elements can be prepared in advance and assembled just before you're ready to serve. We'll start by blanching the tomatoes. Fill a large pot with water and bring it to a boil. While the water's coming to a boil, fill a bowl of ice water. When the water comes to a boil, carefully drop the tomatoes inside the boiling water and let them cook for about a minute to a minute and a half. You should see the skin start to split. As soon as the skins start to split, carefully remove them with tongs and place them into the ice water to stop the cooking. When the tomatoes have cooled a bit, you'll see that it's easy to peel the skins away from the rest of the tomato. At this point, you should remove the tough part at the top of the tomato where the stem connects. You can use the tip of a knife to carefully cut it out and discard it. Discard the skins and the ice water and put the peeled tomatoes back in the bowl. And now your tomatoes are ready to be crushed. You will not need a mixer. You can just crush them with your hands. In fact, I find something kind of therapeutic about it. And don't be gentle. Crush them like they did something wrong. For the record, you should probably do this in a fairly deep bowl so you don't end up with crushed tomato everywhere. One of the most appealing things about this dish is that the tomatoes still taste really fresh. You don't really want the texture of the skin, so blanching is the way to go. Plus, it softens up the tomatoes just a little bit. And listen, don't even think about using canned tomatoes. It is not the same thing. If you come across any really tough parts, just pluck those out. So when they're crushed, just set the tomatoes aside or cover them and put them in the fridge if you're planning to prepare the dish later. However, we're going to carry on, so next we'll prepare the bread. Preheat your oven to 350 or 180 Celsius and cut your baguette in half horizontally. But before we do that, I'm just going to take a quick detour to explain to you what's going on with this baguette. I live in France and baguettes are sort of respected here. I'll go into that in another video, but I just want to take a moment to excuse myself for what I'm about to tell you. This baguette came from a supermarket. I know, I can feel your judgment, but just hear me out for a second. Ordinarily, I would never buy a supermarket baguette. They are just not the same. But in this case, it actually works a little better. You'll find that the interior of these supermarket baguettes is a little fluffier, and a real baguette has a lot more pockets inside of it, and it's a little more chewy versus fluffy. So I chose this baguette for this reason specifically, and also this fluffiness inside will help soak up some of the juice from the tomatoes. It's going to be perfect, I promise. And let's face it, if you live in the US, this is probably the baguette that you're going to find anyway. Even in Spain, I found lots of bakeries that said they had French baguette. Yeah, not even close. So we're going to take this baguette and we'll cut it in half horizontally. Place your hand on the top and make sure that it's flat, really flat. Otherwise, you might lose a digit. And next we'll go on to preparing the bread. Okay, put the baguette on a baking tray with the cut side up and put it in the oven for 10 minutes. We'll start checking it around 7 because we want it to be toasted, but not too much. Just lightly toasted on the tops and a little more on the edges. Also, you only need one side to toast, the cut side. And in the meantime, we'll peel the garlic and cut off one end. While the bread's cooking, let's clear something up. I know what you're asking. Hey Sam, isn't this just bruschetta? Yeah, it's not. Bruschetta is usually cut into discs. It's toasted on both sides. It's much drier. And then the sauce that they put on top is generally made from tomatoes, but it's thicker. It's more of a sauce. This bread is cooked for a much shorter period of time. And as a result, the top of the bread is much less dry, and the juice from the tomatoes can soak right into the bread. It's a very different thing. When the bread is ready, remove it from the oven, and while it's still hot, rub it lightly with garlic. Lightly. It's important to not get crazy with the garlic. It's just there to enhance the flavor, and too much can quickly take your dish from delicious to dreadful. If the bread is too hot, Use a towel or some tongs to hold it so that you don't burn your fingers. After the garlic rub, brush the bread with a bit of olive oil, or you can drizzle it, but just a small amount, and use good olive oil, and then sprinkle it with just a little bit of salt. By the way, this part can be done in advance and then set aside while you get ready for the evening. Finally, about 3 to 5 minutes before you're ready to serve, spoon the crushed tomatoes onto the bread and spread them out evenly with the back of a spoon. This is another reason this type of baguette works better. Traditional baguettes have large air pockets inside, which are fantastic in general, but not in this application. In this case, they would hold too much of the tomatoes and just cause a soggy mess. All right, let the bread rest for about 3 minutes before you cut it into strips or wedges and serve. And that's it. It's just that easy and super delicious. It's a little crusty, a little salty, and crazy fresh. This is the perfect way to start your evening. Serve it with a beer or a glass of wine, and you're done. What I love about this dish is that it takes a few simple ingredients and turns it into something really delicious. You'll find this on the menu of most bars in Barcelona, and if you don't see it, just ask them. I did that several times and they're happy to make it for you. Okay. Ça c'est bon. If you like this video, I hope you'll give us a gentle pouce en l'air, and subscribe, and turn on the notifications there, or there, hell, I don't know where they are, but you get the idea. And if you want more tapas recipes, be sure to check out our new book, Entertaining Tapas Style, at todaysnest.com. Thanks for being in the Disco Kitchen, and until next time, remember to stay curious, stay hungry, and always lick the bowl. Ciao for now.